Okay, today I'm going to be showing you the Crodec digital press. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's just a basis of how it works. Of course, everything starts with the roll stand. It's self-explanatory. Now we get to the inkjet. Your paper is going to go through the system, and it's going to go through the CMYK color heads. And of course, in between those color heads, you have a dryer. You don't want to touch that right now, it's hot. Up in the line head, this is the black module. You have 6 jetting modules that cover your 25-inch paper. Each jetting module is responsible for about 4 inches of the color on the paper. Now when they talk about stitching, that's what that's doing, is bringing one module to the other module without any gap or overlay. You have a positive side blower that goes down through the tubing. There's your jetting module underneath the latch and the transport plate. Then you have a negative, which creates a suction. That creates an airflow, and what the jetting module is doing is dribbling ink onto the paper. The big droplets go to the paper, the smaller droplets get recycled. That's how you lay down the ink on the paper. As you can see, once it comes out of the first tower, you have all your colors. That's for one side of the paper. Goes into the second tower, it gets the other side of the paper. Underneath this deck plate is a turn bar that's flipping the paper around. Using only one web with this system, you can get up to 96-page tabs. The next thing I want to talk about is the camera system. As you see, those flashing lights is what that is doing. It is picking up the CMYK color marks. So there is no going and manually hitting the side leg and register. It does it itself using those color marks that it's picking up. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see your individual color marks on the phone here. You can probably only see the blue one, but you have a CMYK color mark. You can probably see this one a little bit better. You see them right there. They're real small, so the average reader is not going to even notice them. That camera's picking them up, and it's going to do the side-to-side registration by itself. This black Q mark, that's very important, is right in the center of the paper. And it's cut right in half. So you got one on one side, one on the other. And as you notice, you have smaller Q marks and a big Q mark. The big Q mark is important for the folder and the press, and because that's telling the next tower where to start printing. Also, you will notice this is the exact same paper. One of them has a promo stamp. That's actually printed on the paper, and without stopping, you can transfer right to the next one. That's your variable data. How that works is all on the press controller. Now on your press controller, what you can do, you can go to your hot folder. And in your hot folder, you have your jobs that are sitting down from the EOB team. Now what you want to do there, you can go and pick your virtual printer. Your virtual printer is going to tell it how to print, what the cutoff length is, the width of the paper, etc. Then you import that job. Once you can double click it, it'll bring it in there, and then you hit import. Well, we're not going to import this because we're already printing. We're going to hit cancel. Down here, you have your staging queue. These are jobs that we've already printed or standing by to be printed. As you can see right now, we're printing, that's why it's green. And this is called your digital front end. Right next to it, you have your press controller. Now remember those color marks that we talked about? That's what those cameras are looking at. As you can see, every so often, they shift just a little bit, so it's auto-correcting the registration. Each one of these, remember I showed you these 6 jetting modules. You got your cyan, magenta, yellow, black for tower 1 and tower 2. Also, another good thing, you have your Biodex system. Because what this is going to do is pick up any flaws without you having to walk all the way to the folder and grab a paper. You can tell right away when there's an issue. You can zoom in or you can zoom out. You can also look at your individual colors, but we're not going to get into that right now. Now remember, I talked about you have your heaters on the press. On tower 2 you got another set of heaters, and on tower 2 you have an upper and lower camera. Now what you also have to bring the paper back down to a reasonable temperature so that the ink doesn't smudge in the finishing equipment, you have what they call a chill roller. In this chill roller are 2 cylinders that have very cold water running through them, and you can see the paper going through it, so it brings the paper back down to room temperature. Or if you're running a glossy job, you can take it down a lot colder, therefore the ink will not smudge once it hits the good old turn bar. Even though the turn bar has air, as you can see, it's still going to build up a little bit of friction. Now as it goes into our folder, as you can tell, that Foreman board is not like the other Foreman boards that go straight up and down. This one goes sideways. The reason why is that the whole folder is a collation folder, is what they call a fold line. Now the reason for this, remember I talked about the black cue marks. Right here on this edge is where that black cue mark is going to be. You can't see it now because of the speed that we're going. Now the reason why the folder needs this cue mark, because like I said, we can print up to 96 pages. Today we're doing a 40 pager. So it's going to print 8 pages, 8 pages, 8 pages, 8 pages until you get to 40, and then you get that big cue mark. That's telling the folder, I need to collect, kick it out. How it does that, you have an eye right there. That sensor for that eye is telling the brain in the folder where it needs to cut and when it needs to kick the paper out a complete section. You got 2 cutters. Then it goes to the acceleration module. We also have a neat little thing. You can see in there, when you have bad papers or when it doesn't read those cue marks, it's going to kick it out as bad. Automatically you have a waste gate. So therefore you cut down on waste on what's good papers and what's not. You're not having to go and chase them down at the stacker. There's your collecting cylinder and your jaw folder. As you watch, collecting kicks it out. If you have the option, this here is your triple fold or quarter folder. We're not using that. And then of course it goes down to your bucket. From the bucket you have a complete section. And that is basically how your digital folder, your digital press, and your folder that goes with it works.